So last week we started a series, Crossing Over, and we're going to continue with Crossing Over today. A little bit of review. Sing to Yah a new song, for his right hand and his set-apart arm has wrought salvation for him. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of the Most High. With trumpets of metal and the sound of a trumpet of horn, make a joyful noise unto Yah before the King, for he is come to judge the earth. That's Psalms 97. You can hear the salvation coming. And in Isaiah 64, he cries out, Yah, if you would just open the heaven, trembling will take hold upon the powers of the earth from you. We have not heard, nor have our eyes seen anyone like you. Your works which you will perform to those that wait for mercy, these blessings shall happen to them that work righteousness. And then we looked at different examples in the scripture from Noah. Crossing over is a bar in Hebrew. It means to pass through, pass over, cross over. And as Noah was in the ark, in the floods, the Spirit of Yah passed over the earth. He barred over the earth, and his Spirit calmed the waters. And Abraham came from a distant land, and he passed through the land. He abar through the land, and became the first Hebrew. And Hebrew in Hebrew is abari, which comes from abar, which is crossing over. So you can see the concept. And it was the ones from beyond. At Passover, Yah passed over the land, again, abar, and then he skipped over the houses that had the blood on the doorpost. When they went through the Red Sea, the NC, they were abarring, they were crossing, they were passing through. And as Joshua said right before they crossed over Jordan, within 3 days you shall pass over. And in Hebrew, that word pass over is abar. And Joshua said unto the people, sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow Yah will do wonders among you. Also saw crossing over as it's applied to walking in the Spirit. We are fleshly beings in the beginning, but we're supposed to cross over. We're supposed to abar into walking in the Spirit and not fulfill what the flesh wants. And so we looked at all of those things last week as crossing over, abar, abari. And we continue. Isaiah 46, I am. Until you've grown up, I am. He's saying, I am before you, I am now when you're old, and I shall be, I am. I hear you, I bear you, I have made, and I will relieve, I will take up and save you. And when you go into the Greek, we're reading from the Septuagint there. Will take up is to receive up, just like he was taken up into heaven in Acts 1. And I will save, to save, is like making whole, heal, preserve. And it's like H3467, which is Yasha in Hebrew. It says in Matthew 1, you shall call his name Yahushua, for he will save. And it's using the same words there. Remember these things and repent, for you have gone astray. Return in your heart and remember the former things of old. For I am Yah, and there is none other like me. I'm telling you beforehand the latter events before they come to pass, and they that are accomplished together. And I said, all my counsel will stand, and I will do all things that I have planned. That's Isaiah 46. Jeremiah 16. Jeremiah was a prophet during the last times of the southern kingdom, all the way to Zedekiah when the kingdom fell. Thus says Yah, I have removed my peace from this people. I will make to cease out of this place before your eyes the voice of joy and the voice of gladness. And it will come to pass, when you shall report this to the people, all of these words, and they will say to you, why has Yah pronounced against us all of these evils? What is our unrighteousness? What is our sin that we have sinned before Yah, the Most High? Then you shall say to them, because your fathers forsook me, and went after strange gods, and served them, and worshipped them, and forsook me, and kept not my law. And you have sinned worse than your fathers. For behold, you walk every one after the lust of your own evil heart, and you don't hearken to me anymore. That's Jeremiah 16, right before the southern kingdom was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon. But that scripture is also an exact summary of the world today. He's removed his peace from this world. And we speak these words of truth and people go, why is all this evil coming against us? What's our sin? All the people have gone their own ways. They aren't listening to him anymore. They're doing their own things. They're sinning after the lust of their flesh. They're not listening to his will. They're not keeping his word. And we continue in Jeremiah 16. Therefore, I will cast you off of this good land. And this is the prophecy specifically to them before Nebuchadnezzar came. I will cast you off from this good land into a land which neither you nor your fathers have known, and you shall serve their other gods, who shall then have no mercy upon you. And that's what was happening in Babylon. And now the prophecy moves from that point in time to where we are now. Therefore, behold, the days shall come, says Yah, when they shall no more say, Yah lives that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but Yah lives who brought up the house of Israel from the land of the north and from all the countries where they were thrust out to. And I will restore them to their land, which I gave to their fathers. That's not a prophecy that was fulfilled when they were brought back from Babylon. But it's all the house of Israel, and Israel was gone before the house of Judah fell, and from all of the countries where they were thrust out. They were scattered by the Assyrians first, and then Babylon took them all around the world, and he's going to bring them all back. And we will no longer say, he brought us back from Egypt and parted the sea. Something's coming, this greater exodus that we've all heard about, that we won't even be thinking about the parting of the Red Sea. That's something pretty amazing. We know this promise has not been fulfilled yet. And so to understand the greater exodus a little bit, and to see what the scriptures tell us truly about it, we go back to Exodus 13, the original wilderness flight of the Israelites out of Egypt. Remember this day in which you came out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, for by the strength of your hand Yah brought you out from that place. This is the feast of unleavened bread that they were in, and there shall be no leavened bread eaten. And it shall be for a sign unto you upon your hand, and for a memorial between your eyes, that Yah's law may be in your mouth, because he brought you out of Egypt. Now note the sign upon your hand and a memorial between your eyes. Does that sound like anything anybody's heard in Revelation 13? Forgery is the mark of the beast, where the beast shall put the mark on their right hand and the mark in their forehead. And here in Exodus 13 it says, this shall be a sign, a mark upon you, on your hand, and a mark between your eyes, a memorial between your eyes, because you are following me. Okay, remember, the deceiver makes forgeries of these things. And now you can see where the original marks of the Almighty are. In Exodus 19, these are color-coded, and so you can start seeing where blue is Israel, green is Egyptians, the dragon is orange. And so you'll start seeing this come together as we look at this. Exodus 19, you, Israel, have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, how I bare you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself to Sinai. Now, therefore, if, conditional statement, covenant, if you will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then, if then, you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a set-apart nation. That's a huge, glorious promise. Now, Revelation 12. And to the woman, color-coded, the woman is Israel, and to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, which we just saw in Exodus 19, that she, the woman, might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and a half a time, half a time, and 2 times. From the face of the serpent, and the dragon was angry with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, the remnant of the house of Israel, which keep the commandments of Yah and have the faith and testimony of our Messiah.
That's cool.
You look at Exodus 19 and Revelation 12, they track. Continuing on in Exodus. And Yah hardened the heart Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel, and the children of Israel went out with a high hand. They left Egypt. Then the Egyptians pursued after them all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, his army. Same verse in Jubilees. Notwithstanding all these signs and wonders that Yah showed through Moses, the plagues to Egypt, Prince Mastema, he is called in here, was not put to shame because he took courage and cried to the Egyptians to pursue after you, children of Israel, with all the powers of the Egyptians, with their chariots and their horses, and with all the armies of the people of Egypt. Just a little bit more information. The serpent was the one that encouraged the Egyptians. The serpent was the one that encouraged Pharaoh to go after Israel. Yah lifted his hand up off of the situation and let the dragon come in and affect Pharaoh in Egypt. Prince Mastema, he helped the Egyptians and pursued the children of Israel, continuing on in Jubilees. And he, the dragon, hardened the Egyptians' hearts and made them stubborn. But all this was devised by Yah, such that he might smite the Egyptians, cast them into the sea, and have them as an example. Revelation 12. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he, the serpent, might cause the woman to be carried away of the flood. Now, if you look at Exodus 14 and Revelation 12 right there, again, it all matches. The serpent, the dragon, Hasatan, he is the evil behind what's happening, and he pushes his powers of the world out to overtake the children of Israel, the remnant of his seed. The serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood. What's the water as a flood? It's armies, it's people, it's chariots, it's horses back in the old days when Pharaoh tried to overtake the children of Israel. In these days, we can imagine what the current chariots and horses are that are sent out into the wilderness to overtake the woman, which is the same as the house of Israel. And the remnant of the woman is the remnant seed of the house of Israel. Israel got to a point where they were trapped. They went through the Sinai Peninsula. They went through a winding canyon called the Wadi Watir, and they ended up on a big beach that's now known as Nuweiba Beach in Egypt. And Pharaoh caught wind of this. He heard about where they were, and he said, aha, they are entangled in the wilderness. They're entangled by the land. They're trapped. They have nowhere to go. For when they got out on the beach, they're looking at the Gulf of Aqaba that's 8 to 10 miles across, impassable. They look north, and there's cliffs all the way to the Gulf. They look south, there's cliffs all the way to the water. They can't go north. They can't go south. They can't go east across the sea. And now they can't go back through the canyon because Pharaoh and his armies have come through that canyon, and they're ready to come out to the beach and destroy all of Israel. And right to the point where they get to the mouth of that canyon, the Almighty puts his pillar of fire right there at the opening. And it's like, nope, sorry, not today. And so they saw this miracle. They saw that they literally had no place to go, and then they saw that he saved them. Going back to Exodus 14. And Yah overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. The waters returned after they had crossed and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the armies of Pharaoh that had come into the sea after them. Not one of them remained alive. And a little more detail in Jubilees. All the people whom he brought, the serpent brought to pursue after Israel, Yah cast them out into the middle of the sea, into the depths of the abyss beneath the children of Israel. Even as the people of Egypt had cast the children of Israel into the river, into the Nile River. 1,001,000 energetic men were destroyed on account of one baby of the children of Israel, which the Egyptian had thrown into the river.
That's interesting. I missed that when I read Jubilees. Wow.
He is the judge.
Yeah.
He will recompense in his time.
Vengeance to repay, it says in the New Testament. Wow.
And Revelation 12. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And again, looking at Exodus 14 and Revelation 12, that tracks. The earth helped the woman, opened and swallowed up the flood, just like the sea opened and swallowed the Egyptians, which the dragon cast the flood after the remnant in Revelation coming. And it said Prince Mastema, the serpent, pushed the Egyptians and encouraged them to go out after the Israelites before they were swallowed by the sea. And so we're looking at the old Exodus and remembering that he promised a greater Exodus for us. Understand what part of this greater Exodus is going to be about. for some portions of his remnant. Different assemblies have different callings. Philadelphia has his protective hand on them. The 144,000 are marked and sealed. You won't get harmed. You won't get hurt. Some, you're going to go through tribulation, but be courageous even unto death. All part of this great exodus that's coming. And Moses said unto the people, fear not. Stand still and see the salvation of Yah, which he will show to you today. And of course, the waters parted, and Yah saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians. They drowned in the sea. The depths covered them up. They sank to the bottom of the gulf as a stone. He will swallow up death in victory. The Egyptians were the death of Israel, and he swallowed them up and was victorious. And Paul talks about this a little bit. He says, don't you know that whom you've made yourself servants to obey, his servants you are, whether it be sin unto death or obedience unto righteousness. And look at the Egyptians as your prisoners to them, your prisoners to sin. Or you can be servants unto the Most High, unto his glory, and be saved. Now we looked at Israel being trapped, literally trapped and nowhere to go. I want everybody to put themselves into that place where you're on the beach, you're crowded together, you've got nowhere to go, your food and water might be running out, you've got the greatest army in the world right there, ready to storm you. That's a scary proposition unless you have faith in him. Understand that old Exodus is a shadow of the coming Exodus. We all have to be prepared for these things, these types of things. There's tribulation happening, major tribulation in other countries like China. These things will come to pass everywhere on the earth because that's what he said. And understand, Israel will be trapped again over the entire earth. And we have to be ready to apply that old Exodus mindset, sitting on the beach, nowhere to go. The armies of the world are banging on our back door and we're trapped. We have to have faith in those days more than any. And except those days should be shortened. There should be no flesh saved. But for the remnant's sake, those days shall be shortened. This is the wake-up call of the message. Understand that these things are coming. He told us the wilderness journey is our example. He said there'll be a greater exodus. It's mirroring it. This is part of that mirroring. So this is where our faith has to be like the children of Israel standing on the beach. Fear not. He is greater than they are. The Almighty is greater than anything this world can throw at us. And we have faith in him all the way. And no matter what our earthly destination is, he will save us if we keep that faith to him all the way. Now, I wish we had seatbelts there for everybody because it's time to buckle up. It's that good.
Good thing I sat down.
It's a good thing you sat down.
I'm ready.
We're going to go to Ezekiel 37. Famous prophecy. The valley of dry bones. The hand of Yah was upon me, Ezekiel, and carried me out in the spirit and set me down in the midst of a large valley which was full of dry, dusty bones. And he said to me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I said, Yah, you know. And thus says Yah unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. I will put my spirit into you, and you shall live. These dry bones will live. And I'll put flesh upon you, cover you the skin, put my spirit upon you, you shall live, and then you shall know that I am Yah. Come from the four winds, O Spirit, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. The four winds of the earth. This is a worldwide event he's talking to here. Come from the four winds. It's not just in Egypt. And those that are dead, I will raise up again from their places and bring them out of the graves, for I have known my name in Israel. That's 2nd Esdras. And when our Messiah, when he was in the synagogue at the Day of Trumpets, or the Sabbath before the Day of Trumpets, he had a message there. And he said 3 times, at least in that message, I will raise him up at the last day. And he spoke some more, and he said, I will raise him up at the last day. And he spoke some more, and then said again, and I will raise him up at the last day. And we saw that when we looked at the Day of Trumpets. And so we're going to refocus now on everything we've seen as foundation to this greater Exodus. Continue on with the Valley of Dry Bones prophecy. Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. They're not part. They're not just Judah. They're not just the Jews, as we know them. They're the whole house, the ones that were scattered to the winds of the earth, the spiritual house of Israel that we looked at last time. Our bones are dried. Our hope is lost of our own capabilities. We're cut off for our parts. And then you shall know that I am Yah when I have opened your graves, my people, and I have brought you up out of your graves, and I shall put my spirit in you, and you shall live. He repeated what he said a few verses ago for emphasis. And then I shall place you into your own land. And then you shall know that I, Yah, have spoken it, and I have performed it. And when you look at that verse, it says, I will put my spirit in you, and you shall live, and I shall place you into your own land. So he's got two actions that he's going to perform there. Raises them up first, and then his chosen, his remnant, will go to the land which he has promised. Since the days of Abraham, going back to Jeremiah here, the days come, it shall no more be said that Yah lives that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but Yah lives that brought the children of Israel from the land of the north and from all the lands which he has driven them, and I will bring them again into the land which I gave to their fathers. And looking at Ezekiel 37 and Jeremiah 16, it says the same thing. He's got two actions there. I'm bringing all the children up from wherever they are, and then I'm going to take them to the land. And Micah 7, to the good shepherd, he's talking, tend thy people with thy rod, the sheep of your inheritance, those that inhabit by themselves. Who's his sheep? I come not but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The sheep of your inheritance, those that inhabit by themselves, those are the ones that are set apart from this world. And according to the days of your departure out of Egypt, you will see marvelous. He's going right back at different prophets, referring back to the wilderness journey out of Egypt that we just looked at, restated in Revelation. You'll see marvelous. This is another reference to the great Exodus. You're going to see amazing things, just like they did in the old days. You're going to see it too. The nations shall see and be ashamed. Lay their hands upon their mouth. They'll be in disbelief. And their ears shall be deafened by what's happening. This is not a secret. This is something that the whole world will see. The earlier Exodus, when they crossed the sea, only the Israelites and the Egyptians saw it until they were covered with water. This is something the whole world is going to see. The nation shall see this and be ashamed. Their hands shall cover their mouth in disbelief, and their ears will be deafened. In these coming times where the remnant gets trapped, nowhere to go on our own, and he saves us. People say that the greater Exodus is people getting together and then traveling and maybe getting a boat or getting on a plane and going to Israel. That's what the common understanding, the common thought process is of the greater Exodus. Tell me, does that sound like something we'll forget the parting of the Red Sea about if we just jump in a plane and go over to Israel? Mm-hmm. He tells us what the greater Exodus is in Micah 7 right here. You shall see marvelous according to the days of your departure out of Egypt. This is not the earlier departure, it's now, the Egypt that we're in now. And their ears shall be deafened by what? By the sound of the great trumpet, the last trumpet. The greater Exodus is what most people know of as the rapture. The beginning of the greater Exodus, the glory of the salvation is the rapture. That's what Micah 7 said. Their ears will be deafened by this great trumpet, the last trumpet. Just like the ears of Israel were deafened by that great shofar blast at Mount Sinai. And they went to the nether parts and they said, Moses, don't let him do this to us again. I don't want to hear the trumpet again. I don't want to hear him speak, lest we might die. It was that overpowering for them. This is coming again to this world. Isaiah 27, and it shall come to pass in the day that they blow the great trumpet, and the lost ones in the land of the Assyrians shall come, and the lost ones in Egypt, and shall worship Yah on the set apart mountain. And then as Paul says, I went down to Arabia. I was shown some things just like Moses was shown. And Elijah went there and was shown. And Ezra went there and was shown. and I went there too. And now let me show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, because the trumpet shall sound. The great trumpet, the joyous sound, the one we saw before. The last trump. Where do we know what the last trump is? It tells us right in Revelation. And the seventh angel sounded his trumpet, his shofar, and there were great voices in heaven, saying, the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of the Almighty and his Messiah. And you should give reward unto your servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear your name, small and great. That's a huge promise right there. It's a day of joy, isn't it? A day of shouting. And he will give reward. What's the reward? Paul told you, you're getting an incorruptible body. You get eternal spirit. He's saving you this day. That's the reward unto his servants, the prophets. Some of those dry bones that Ezekiel is talking about. And to the saints, the first century saints that endured their own tribulation and were faithful unto death. And them that fear your name, small and great. So he's saying everybody. This isn't just the great prophets. This isn't just the apostles and those saints in the first century that actually saw him walk the earth. It's to everyone that fears his name, reverences his name, loves him, both small and great. He's coming for us. This is our greater exodus. This is what our hope is. That's what Paul references in Titus. In that day, the great trumpet shall be blown. Isaiah 27. One singular trumpet. It's a shofar. And Exodus 19 says, the blast of the trumpet, the same word as in Isaiah prophecy. It sounded long and became louder and louder. It's the same word. It's the same concept. It's what happened before his coming again. He's told us the end from the beginning and told us where to look by the wilderness journey in Exodus. And of course, some people say Numbers 10 says make 2 trumpets of silver. Well, those are silver trumpets and not the shofar. And we've seen in other literature that we use only for historical purposes that the shofar was used on the Day of Trumpets in the temple, and then there were 2 other trumpets, silver trumpets on each side, and the shofar gave a long blast and the other trumpets a short one, since the proper ceremony for the Day of Trumpets was with the shofar. And the last trump, the 7th trumpet, is that joyful sound. Blessed is the people that knows the joyful sound. They shall walk, Yah, in the light of your countenance. Psalm 88. That's a promise. The joyful sound, H86:43, taruah, is defined as the acclamation of joy, shouting, joyful sound, blowing of trumpets. And used the same in Isaiah 27. The great trumpet will be blown. If I put yum in front of taruah, yum taruah, what am I saying? I'm saying the Day of Trumpets. It's the same word. He's telling us when it's going to be. For the trumpet shall sound. That's what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 15. Our deliverance was in a time of affliction. By reason of the terrible sound, the nations were dismayed for fear of you. Isaiah 33. Now, why did he say the terrible sound? Because the nations of the world hear this as a terrible sound. It's their wake-up call and go, uh-oh, we messed up. To us, it's the joyful sound. We can't wait to hear that. For everybody else, big alarm clock that goes on when you're in great deep sleep and you're in a really tough mood after that. It's a terrible sound to the nations of the world because they're going to see this. It's not a secret rapture. This is a worldwide event. This is his wake-up call to the world. Said, see, I told you so. And these are my people, and I'm taking them. And now, upon you that did not listen to me, I will pour out my wrath. According to all that you desire of Yah your Elohim in Oreb that day at Sinai, in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yah my Elohim, neither let me see this great fire anymore, that I die not. That's how overpowering it was to them at that mountain. This same event is coming to this world. They're going to be terrified, putting their hands over their mouth. Ears will be deafened because of the sound that doesn't stop. It keeps getting louder and louder. This is the accumulation of all these prophecies. As we read at the beginning, Yah, if you would just open the heavens, trembling will take hold upon the mountains from thee. The mountains are the powers of the world. He'll be shaking the mountains physically, but the mountains are the powers of the world, the nations of this world, the people in charge. And they shall melt as wax melts before the fire. Their hearts will melt. Fire will burn up the enemies. Your name shall be manifest among the adversaries. At your presence, the nations shall be troubled, as we just saw. They'll be in disbelief. Part the heavens, Yah, and come down. Stretch out your hand from above, rescue me, and deliver me. Psalm 144. Psalm 117, O Yah, save now. Blessed is he that comes in the name of Yah. Our Messiah said, you will not see me again, Pharisees. Until that day, it said, blessed is he who comes in the name of Yah. And he departed, but he's coming back. Malachi 3. Bring the whole tithe that there may be food in my house. Test me now in this, says Yah, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that there will not be room enough for. So he's saying, do my works, do my will. Test me if you want. I'm going to open up the heavens and give you a reward that you cannot believe. A reward that eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor thought of, imagined in the hearts of men. Windows of heaven will be opened just as he cries out in Isaiah 64. Just open the heavens. We're waiting for our reward, Yah. Save us now. Give us the reward that you promised in Revelation 11 to the prophets and the saints and the apostles and those small and great that fear your name. And we look at the ark of his testament. Exodus 25, you shall put into this ark that you're making the testimony which I shall give you. And in the ark you shall put the testimony that I shall give you. He says it again. The ark of the testimony, all things which I will give you in commandment unto the children of Israel. He was telling Moses exactly what he wanted him to do. But he's reiterating that I want you to take the testimony and put it inside this ark. He gave unto Moses 2 tables of testimony, tablets of stone, written with the finger of the Almighty. And those were the 2 tables of the testimony that were put into the ark. And if you look at Exodus, you can see a word being repeated. Testimony, testament. 1 John 5, verses 6 through 11. And this is he that came by blood and water, even Messiah, not water only, but by water and blood. And it's the Spirit that bears witness, because the Spirit is truth. And there are 3 that bear record in heaven, Father, the Word, and the set-apart Spirit. These 3 are one, and there are 3 that bear witness in earth, the Spirit and the water and the blood. All these agree. If we receive the witness of men, the witness of Yah is greater, for this is the witness of the Father which he testified of his Son. He that believes, hears, and obeys the Son of the Most High has the witness in himself. He that does not believe has not that record. And this is the record that Yah has given to us, eternal life, and this life is his Son. Now, remember, in Greek, it's a flowery language. When they wrote it, when they transcribed it from other languages, they would embellish it with synonyms if a word was repeated because it was too dull for the Greeks. They liked flowery language. And so when we look at the words bear witness, bear record, and has testified in Greek, so when we look at all of those 3 words, bear witness, bear record, and has testified, they're the same base word in Greek, 3140. And those words all mean the same thing: to be a witness, to bear record, have testimony. And when we look at the words witness and record, that's in 1 John 5, it's the word after that in Greek, G3141, which means witness, record, or testimony. So when we read 1 John 5, it's probably just like it was before in Exodus, where he's saying, this is he that came by blood of water, that has testimony, because the Spirit is true. And there are 3 that have testimony in heaven, and there are 3 that have the testimony in earth. If we receive the testimony of men, then the testimony of Yah is greater. For this is the testimony of Yah, that he has testified of his Son. He's putting something before us over and over again to catch our attention about his testimony. And the testimonies are the covenants. There are 3 that bear witness, that have the testimony in earth, the Spirit, the water, and the blood. And going into John 19, when he was on the cross, he took the vinegar, said it is finished, bowed his head, and gave up the spirit. The soldier came to break their legs, found that he was dead, and then pierced his side instead. Forthwith came out blood and water, and John saw it and bear record. But what do we see bear record was? He says, I saw it, and I have this testimony, and my testimony is true. And I know it's true that you might believe. So we're going back to the word testimony. And in 2 Maccabees, right before the fall of Jerusalem, Jeremiah was warned and commanded that the tabernacle and the ark to go with him as he went forth into the mountain. When Jeremiah and his people came forth with the ark, they found a hollow cave wherein he laid the tabernacle and the ark and the altar of incense, and then stopped up the door. And the ark of the covenant shall be unknown until the time that Yah gathers his people again together and receives them unto mercy. That's a powerful statement. The Ark of the Covenant is missing. People don't know where it is. It shall be unknown until the time that Yah gathers his people again together and receives them unto deliverance. To the world, it's unknown until he gathers his people together. And in Revelation 11:19, this is the day of trumpets, the last trump, when he gives his reward to his people. It also says, there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. So something's happening. And here's how the Old Testament shows us again and again.
Sorry.
Joshua 1, within 3 days, O Israel, you shall pass over this Jordan to go in and possess the land. And Hosea 6:2 says, and after 2 days he will revive us. In the third day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. Which is the story of Joshua right there. It is. After 2 days he will revive us. Within 3 days you shall pass over this Jordan. So the third day they passed over Jordan. And in the third day, Hosea says, he will raise us up. As he says, I will raise him up at the last day. I will raise him up at the last day. And we shall live in his sight. So the crossing over Jordan was this glorious shadow picture of our deliverance, this glorious event during the greater exodus when we are delivered. This passing over, behold, the Ark of the Covenant of the Most High of all the earth passes over before you into Jordan. Passing over, we're going back to the root here of the message, crossing over, passing over Abar. The Abari, Abar, after the ark, over the Jordan. The ones from beyond crossed over the Jordan after the ark. When you see the Ark of the Covenant of Yah, then you shall remove from your place and go after it. This is Joshua 3. He's saying, this is what you're looking for, Israel. We're about to go over this river and go to the promised land. Be ready. Sanctify yourselves. I will do wonders among you. But when you see the Ark of the Covenant go into the middle of that river, then you shall get up and go after it. There'll be a space between you and it, about 2,000 cubits. Come not near to it, that you may know the way which you must go. For you have not passed this way before, Israel. You've never walked this way in your 40 years in the wilderness. Sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow Yah will do wonders among you. That's a shadow picture just screaming at us. You're going to see the Ark of the Covenant. When you see it, go after it. It will show you the way to go. You haven't gone this way before, Israel. Right now, these last 3 days before you get there, sanctify yourselves. Get yourself ready. Be virtuous unto me, because I'm coming back for a bride. I want a virtuous bride. Tomorrow, soon, I'm going to do wonders among you.
I really want to study these.
Zechariah 10. I will make a sign to them and gather them in, for I will redeem them, and I will bring them again from the land of Egypt. It's not a past prophecy, it's a future prophecy. I will bring them again from the land of Egypt. I will gather them from among the Assyrians that they got scattered in and lost, quote unquote, and there shall not even be one of them left behind. They shall pass through a narrow sea, and all the pride of the Assyrians will be taken away, and the scepter of Egypt shall be removed, because they'll be putting their hands over their mouths, and they'll be deafened by this sound. And I will strengthen them in their Elohim, and they shall boast in his name. How do you get strengthened? You get strengthened by an incorruptible body, I'd say, and having his spirit put completely in you. Again, Zechariah 10 is telling us about the rapture that Paul showed us the mystery of. And it shall come to pass in that day that they shall blow the great trumpet, and the lost ones in the land of the Assyrians shall come, and the lost ones in Egypt, And they shall worship Yah on the set-apart mountain, his sanctified, his place. Isaiah 27. All these prophets are saying the same thing. And in Numbers, this is the law being fulfilled, as Messiah said. Take the Levites out from the midst of the children of Israel, and you shall purify them, high priest, with waters of purification, and a razor shall come upon their body, and they, the people, the Levites, shall wash their garments, and then they shall be clean, preparing yourselves. The apostles knew all of these prophecies. They knew who he was now. They had many questions. They knew about Isaiah. They knew about Hosea. They knew about Ezekiel, Malachi, Moses. They knew all the words, and they still didn't understand those words. And they said, tell us, Master. I got a question for you. This is probably Peter. What shall be the sign of your coming and the end of the world? And then he said, there shall be great tribulation, not since the beginning of the world, to this time no, nor ever shall be. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be dark, stars shall fall from heaven, the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. For as lightning comes out of the east and shines even to the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. That's not secret. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Now he's answering their question. There's great tribulation. I'm coming. The whole world's going to see it. And right then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and glory. They're putting their hands over their mouths again. Their ears are deafened because they're seeing this happening right in front of them. And our Messiah shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. Yom Teruah, the day of trumpets, the last trumpet, the seventh trumpet. And they, the angels, shall gather together his elect, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, his remnant, the ones that have followed after him, spiritual sons and daughters of Abraham, as Paul says, from the four winds, from one end of earth to the other. Now, we've looked at all this. Through all the prophecies, he tells us what sign we're looking for. He's told us from the entirety of what he's given us, this amazing sign. We're going to see something amazing. We're going to hear something amazing. We know we're going to hear this great trumpet. And he's saying, here comes the sign. You're going to see this sign in the heavens first. Let me show you.
Oh, okay.
This is the sign of the Son of Man. It's his testimony. The testimony of the Father is great. And it came to pass when the ark set forward that Moses said, arise, Yah, and let your enemies be scattered. Let all that hate you flee. That's Numbers 10. That's in the Torah. That's the law. But that's a prophecy. The ark will be set forward. Moses said, arise, Yah. Just open the heavens so we can see, and then come down and save us. Save us now. And let your enemies be scattered. Because the mountains will tremble and shake. The powers of this world will be shaken. And they'll all flee. When you see the ark of the covenant of Yah, go after it. For you have not passed this way before. Sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow Yah will do wonders among you. And the temple of the Almighty was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. That's your rapture verse right there in your rapture chapter, the seventh trumpet, Revelation 19. And it says right there in the rapture chapter, in the rapture verses, during this event, Yah, we're waiting for you to open the heavens so we can see, so you can save us. He says, okay, I'm going to give you the sign of Son of Man. And the temple of Yah opened at this time, at the seventh trumpet. And there was seen in his temple, his heavenly temple, the ark of his testament. And going back to 2 Maccabees, the ark shall be unknown to the world until the time that Yah gathers his people again together and receives them up with him unto mercy and salvation and glory, and strengthens them with incorruptible bodies and saves them. That's what all of these prophecies are saying. They're all pointing to the same thing. Remember all the times he said, testimony, testimony, you shall have testimony. Look, this is what I'm talking about. It's my covenant with my people. Those that really know me, know my heart, know what I love, do the things that I love, stay away from the things I hate. And then you know me and follow me in these things, even through these days when it gets tough. Even when they're banging at your back door, trust me, even then, I will save you. And you'll know the moment you're going to be saved because of this great sound, this great trumpet that the world shall tremble against, this terrible sound to them, this joyous sound to us. And you'll see the sign of the Son of Man coming because he hears the call. He opens his heavens and he shows what's inside. And there it is. And the whole world will see it. And the whole world will know whose sign that is. Who is associated with the Ark of the Covenant? Yah, his son. It's the sign of the Son of Man.
Wow, I did not know that one.
It's right there in front of us.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the greater Exodus with all of the prophets speaking. This is a combination of about 9 books of prophecy.
Okay.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the third woe comes quickly. The thunders have just finished. The second woe had happened. And the third woe is the pouring out of the vials that happen after the seventh trumpet, the wrath of the Almighty. The vials of the wrath of Yah. At the last trump, the seventh angel sounded, for the trumpet shall sound louder and louder and louder, the joyful sound. And the temple of Yah was open in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament, the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail. And then all the tribes of the earth mourn. Their ears shall be deafened by the reason of the terrible sound to them. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And our Savior himself shall descend from heaven with a shout. He might say, I told you I will raise you up at the last day. Here I am. With the voice of the archangel and with the trump of the Almighty. And he shall send his angels with that great sound of the trumpet, part of the feast of Yah. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from all parts of the earth, from one end of heaven to the other. The dead in Messiah shall rise first. In a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, their bodies will be incorruptible. And the valley of dry bones prophecy is fulfilled. And then, which we are alive and remain, shall be changed also, just like that. Our corruptible flesh is gone. We have incorruptible bodies in place of it, and mortal shall put on immortality. And then we are caught up together with them, the ones that were saved from bones, in the clouds to meet with our Master in the air, and then so shall we ever be with our Savior, from then forevermore. And the nations were angry. They've just watched this, and they've heard it. They were angry because the Almighty should give reward unto his servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and those that fear his name. The spoils of your small and great have just been gathered. The spoils of the war, he just took his spoils from Hasatan, because the kingdoms of this world are now his kingdom. It's done. For Yah has not appointed us, his remnant, his lost sheep, to wrath, the vials that are about to be poured out on the world, but to obtain salvation by our Savior. Glory to him. Then shall be brought to pass the saying, the prophecy that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. Because just like the Exodus happened and the Egyptians were at their backs on the beach, they were swallowed up by the sea. Death was swallowed up in victory. And just as the wilderness journey is the Exodus that we look to understand the greater Exodus, now death of this world is swallowed up in victory. We're his. Our Messiah, Yahushua, delivered us from this wrath to come. And then it really gets bad for those guys. That's understanding crossing over. Because that's crossing over from where we are now to a glory that no eye has seen, no ear has heard, nobody's even imagined it. But he gives us a couple details. And glory to him as knowledge is increased. And we can see a glimmer of what he's going to give us. This is our hope. This is Titus 2 right here. It's amazing. This is not the end of the greater Exodus. We just got to a stopping point. Because there's more. There's more than this. But now we can see how the crossing over the Abar of the Abari, the spiritual Hebrews, is going to happen. And the signs he's going to show the whole world to know that he is here again. And that is the greater Exodus, known to everyone else as the rapture, crossing over. Glory to him. Thank you, everyone.